This is the Military Bottom Line Podcast, episode 73. On a side note, a little bit of a blip here. I'm actually just learning this, that if you do not save the Zoom video chat within the first couple of minutes of it converting, you lose it. So I apologize for those on YouTube, but the audio is all here. The audio is all the same. Just no video this time. Sorry, guys.
I didn't think I was going to. I was like, oh man, I'm getting out. Like, let's go. Like, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I'm free. And then as soon as you get out, it's like, who am I? Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I have no purpose. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. There's no mission. It's like, oh, am I trying to make money? Like, what do I do?
Welcome to the Military Bottom Line Podcast, where we learn from veterans and those currently serving how to make the most out of a military contract. We're here to motivate, inspire, and help you leverage your service to positively impact you professionally, personally, and financially during your military career and beyond. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Military Bottom Line Podcast. This is your host, Jason Birds. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. What I'm going to take from this episode as the bottom line, I think there's a number of them that we can discuss, but one that was really important to me on my transition, and I think that Evan used it well in his, was taking time off between your military time and whatever you're doing afterwards. So like for me, I had 60 to 70 days of terminal leave. Evan also did. And so we similarly used that time to kind of travel, relax, like think about things, see people, see friends, and experience some different things. And so I think that, everybody does it differently, but there are a lot of people that just jump immediately right into their next career, right into school. But I think for me, it was really important to take a little bit of time. And so that's what I'm going to say is the bottom line. But there's so much more in today's episode than just that bottom line. Stay tuned for this episode and check out Evan's story. Enjoy. Good afternoon, Evan. Thanks for joining me today, man.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it, man. Glad to be here.
Absolutely, dude. It's been cool to kind of, reach into the network of the military as I meet more people via the podcast. And then you were introduced to me via Pete. And I know you guys go way back. So I'm excited to kind of hear your story uniquely in the Army and kind of like what brought you there and, kind of how life has played out for you. So I'd love to kind of hear like the backstory as to where you're from and why you decided to join in the first place.
Yeah, man, sure. Happy to give you a quick 30,000 foot view. So I grew up in Houston, Texas. I actually grew up in Sugar Land, just southwest Houston. And played ball my whole life, soccer and football and things like that. And really, like, man, to be honest, like my introduction to the military and getting into the service was really through sports. I was getting recruited to play soccer at West Point, and one of my buddies who was a year older than me was a really good friend of mine. He actually went to West Point for soccer, and we played on the same club team and high school team. And so he was already there. I was kind of just like a punk high schooler, was decent enough at soccer to get some looks, and really didn't know too much about West Point or even, the service, to be honest. Like, no one in my family had served. No one in my family was in the military, period. So it was all kind of happened based through sports. But once my buddy went there, he spent a year up at West Point. I went to go visit him, did an official visit, and really just started to dig in deep and understand like what the opportunity was, what those guys were doing, the mission that they were signing up for, and the fact that it was just so much bigger than themselves and just a much more challenging path than what I was traditionally looking at, which was like, I was in Texas. I was like, okay, I'm going to go to, a Texas school, UT, Texas Tech, go to all my boys to school and have a good time and party. And that just didn't really seem exciting to me. It wasn't a challenge. It wasn't off the beaten path. And so this opportunity to go to West Point to play soccer was really which got me into it. So ended up going to West Point. Went to the prep school first for about 8 months. He did like the prep school thing for a lot of athletes. You go there and then you transfer into West Point. So did that and spent 4 years there. And that's kind of how I initially got into the service and into West Point and started my kind of path towards being in the military.
Nice, man. I've never heard, that I know of at least, somebody being recruited into West Point for like the sports portion of it. From what I understand, like, people pursue the academies and they're pretty rigorous applications, but they came to you because of your soccer
Yeah.
ability, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's well, so there's a lot of things here to unpack. I mean, one, I owe my mom like everything, right? So like she drugged me by the collar to get,
Mm,
this packet you're talking about is massive, right? It's like
yeah.
you got to start your junior year. Or, I mean, a lot of people start like even earlier than that. I mean, they're prospecting like as soon as they get into high school. And, I wasn't, kind of on that path yet. So I was very late to the game. It was like my senior year where I was getting recruited. I had talked to the coach and they wanted me to come out. And so I was scrambling to get this packet together. And, at the same time, I still didn't even know the gravity of the situation. I didn't really know like the opportunity that was in front of me. But my mom was amazing. And she was like, you're doing this. Like, this is an opportunity you're not going to miss. So we're going to get you all sorted out. And so, she helped me get it sorted out, and together we, got everything together and made it happen. So I owe it to her to, for keeping my foot to the fire and just, a lot of luck there as well. Just having the opportunity to get a look.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Is the application process the exact same, even if you're recruited versus not recruited? You still have to get the congressional nomination and all that?
Yeah, I think the big piece of getting recruited for sports is that you have this path through the prep school.
Gotcha.
So, if you're, for to get into one of the academies, you have to have like stellar grades, you have to have nice like extracurricular activities, and then if you have some sort of athletic component that also adds to your packet.
Yeah.
This was forever ago, but this is kind of my own deduction from everything. But
Yeah.
I think I had a really good, my athletic career was really good, and I was probably not great on the other aspects of it, academic and outside. So I went through the prep school, which is a way for, you go there, you focus heavily on academics, and then assuming you can, still perform well in the academics and you're still doing well, with your sport, then you get a direct admit to West Point. So
Nice.
you kind of circumvent the necessity to have like the congressional nomination. If you go to the prep school, you end up getting I think you actually get a presidential nomination.
Gotcha. No kidding. All right. All right. So it sounds kind of
Yeah.
like it was a little bit of an indirect route for you, that you kind of got nudged towards the military. Uh, Once you kind of like bought into it, if you will, did you have something in mind that you were like specifically pursuing or hoping to accomplish via the military?
No, it's a great question, man. I think honestly, what it was is that, if I look back on my time, I think the big driving factor for me was that it was just so different than like what anyone in my family, anyone who I grew up with did, any of my friends did. Nobody was doing this. It was like, I'm out here all by my own. I went out, I was from Texas. I flew out to New York to go to school. I didn't know anyone there. And it was like this kind of like, man, I'm doing something like, this is legit. Like, I'm doing something that no one else has done. It's hard. It's scary. And I'm proud to be doing it. I'm excited to do it. And then once I got there and you start to understand like what you're a part of and like what the mission is, and, the people you're around, it's just, I mean, it just all kind of, is amazing. I mean, you start, I kind of just fell in love with it. I was all about it once I finally got there and, got my feet underneath me, and understood like what I had and what I was a part of.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So how did the process go after, you go to the academy, you graduate, you've got to pick your career route in the military. How did that go? And how did you decide which route to go once you actually had to pick a job?
Yeah, sure. So the down and dirty of it is like when you, and I want to make sure I get this right. I
Sure.
could be off on this, but your junior year, you branch or maybe it's post. Well, whatever it is, you eventually like branch and you post. And your branch is, which branch of the Army you want to go into. And you can go combat arms, you can go non-combat arms. There's a bunch of different branches you can go into. And, West Point did a great job of like, they try to introduce you to all the different branches. So like, during summer training or just during the school year, they're bringing in different people from different branches. So whether it's an artillery unit, an infantry unit, transpo, chemcorps, whatever it is, they have all the units come and they represent, and you go through some, maybe it's a training lane where you're out in the field and you get to, use mortars or, shoot howitzers or, you're doing a patrol through the woods to see what infantry is all about. So you get a little bit of taste of everything. And they also have leaders from those branches come in and talk to you about the branches to kind of give you it's like a science fair thing. It's like you go and you get to kind of sample everything and see what you like before you eventually have to choose. To also say nothing of the fact that like a lot of your instructors at West Point are obviously from a branch. So like you start to form these opinions based on like, okay, the infantry people are like this, the aviation people are like this, the med corps people are like this. And like you start to fill out the, what the kind of mentality is and the types of people in those branches, not just, in addition to just what the roles are. So there's that piece. And then you also have like your class rank. So like, if you loved infantry or aviation, but you're not, top 300 in your class, then, tough luck, you're not going to get into that branch. So it's like, you basically rank out the top 5 branches you want to go into. And then depending on your class rank, you get slotted in one of those branches. So for me, I knew I wanted to go combat arms. And, infantry is kind of like the pinnacle combat arms.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do armor and do tanks. I didn't like that idea. And so, but I wasn't like in the top, 300 of my class, which kind of where infantry goes out, and then artillery. And based on the global war, like all artillery people were essentially like infantry folks.
Yeah.
But I also liked, when all the artillery people came to school and talked to us, and just, I kind of liked their pace. They're just a little bit not as, hardcore and, high in tights everywhere. And as the infantry was. So I was like, man, that's more my style. I kind of like the artillery, and I'll still get to do some infantry stuff, and I can go light and be an infantry guy still. So that was kind of my first choice and first real opportunity too, because I wouldn't have been able to get infantry anyways.
Right on. Okay. So you ended up in artillery, and I know you kind of took a different route at some point in there. You decided to pursue Rangers, right? I mean,
that's right.
How far into your career was that decision? What did you take on that opportunity?
Yeah, so it was really like my first year in actual active duty. So I went out to Fort Seale, did basic training, whatever, and then I went to my duty station, which is Fort Stewart. I was with the 3rd ID, and I got there, and probably about 4 months later, we were deploying to Afghanistan. And so I deployed to Afghanistan for a 9-month deployment, and I was over there for that deployment. And while I was there, I was obviously like in Afghanistan, I was getting to see what's going on. Obviously was aware of like special operations and what they're doing and all their mission sets. And I was like, man, these guys are like, this is like the D1 team. Like they're the ones who are in the action. They're getting after it. They get to do all the, they're on the field playing. And it was kind of like how I perceived it.
Yeah.
And I had a buddy who had just gotten back from deployment while I was on deployment. And he was like, going through the whole process of putting in his packet to go to Ranger school or to Ranger battalion. And he ended up getting selected. And I was kind of like, a couple months behind him, and I've seen him do it, and I was like, man, that's what I want to do as well. So as soon as I got back from deployment, I went to Ranger school. I got a slot to go to Ranger school. And, luckily got a slot because it's not too easy to get one as an FA guy. But my battalion was, they had a few slots available, and you just kind of had to compete for it. Got that done, and then immediately put in a packet to go to Ranger school or to Ranger battalion, and started that whole process.
So I confess some ignorance here coming from the Marine Corps side. When kind of pursuing, Rangers, SF, like what is the difference, and like why pursue Ranger over SF or one over the other? Like how did you make that decision? If you were like, I want to be on the field playing, and they both are doing so, like how did you make that decision?
Yeah, I think it's just a pipeline. There's different. Well, one, the mission set's different, right? SF is doing different mission sets than the Rangers are. You could be in completely different groups in an SF, in the SF like world, and you may or may not deploy. You could be stationed, in different parts of the world doing completely different things than what the Rangers were doing at that time, which was all direct action combat. And so when you look at the pipeline, to go SF, it's a 2-year pipeline. So like if you sign up to go SF to get, Green Beret, then that's a 2-year thing that you have to be in the pipeline for before you actually get to the unit and then actually get to go, do things. Whereas Ranger battalion is different. Like, if you're qualified, you put your packet in, assuming there's slots, you get picked up, you go to RASP. RASP is a 3-week process, high intensity selection process. And then if you get selected, you go straight to the unit and you're in, and you're already ready to rock and roll. So just a faster pipeline to get into the action. And I just like that better. I like the idea of that better.
Gotcha. Right on. So after the academy, you had a 5-year obligation, correct?
That's right.
Was there an additional obligation that came once you were Ranger qualified and at the regiment there, or?
No, nothing changes. It's okay. Still same timeline.
Which is, I assume, another kind of added benefit because the SF adds some semi-significant time to that contract.
Exactly. Yeah. I think I don't know if I think you do perhaps incur additional time. I'm not 100% on that, but just by the sheer fact that you're having to do this 2-year pipeline of going through the course, you're just there longer. So you're pretty much locked in for more time than you may or may not have wanted, 2 years prior.
Yep, for sure. Okay. Based on your experience in artillery and then doing the Ranger Regiment stuff, how's the culture differ between artillery and Rangers?
Yeah, it's definitely different. For one thing, like, where I was at the 3rd ID, and so I was on Paladins, and so basically like giant tanks that self-propelled howitzers essentially. And so you'd go out to the field and you do a 10, 14 day, 20-day field exercise where you're out in the field, you occupy locations, you're doing a bunch of fire missions. You might rotate from the FDC, which is the kind of like the brains of the firing team, to the guns, to the OP where you're calling in the fire. And that's your training, all on the Paladins. Whereas then you're in the Ranger Battalion, like you're an FSO, you have a Ranger, you have about 10 guys who are FOs, a JTAC with you, and like all you're doing is cast. So you're going out to the field, you're talking to helicopters, doing gun runs, A-10s, F-16s, all kinds of really cool stuff that you're engaging, which is like actually used in combat.
Gotcha.
In Afghanistan versus, if you're doing FA, conventional, they're not really shooting a ton of Paladins over in Afghanistan, or they weren't. And so it was just a little bit different in that regard. This is obviously just like a very small view that I had, because I was only in conventional FA for about a year before I went over the Ranger Battalion. So that's just like what my specific was. But in terms of like the people though, whether you're conventional or soft, it's like, there's good people and there's bad people. I would say that, there were some rock stars that I worked with on the conventional side, and there's rock stars I worked with in the Ranger Battalion, and then everything in between. I would just say that in Ranger Battalion, it's just easier to get rid of the people who are not there, who don't want to be there and are not there for the right reason.
Yeah.
You can RFS people and kick them out a lot easier.
Gotcha. Yeah. I know that, that was definitely something for like the Marine Corps sales pitch was like, oh, like being with the best, like the Marines are the best, whatever, and then you get there and you're like, okay, like there's still, a bunch of this, people that have their own problems and, don't carry their weight kind of thing. So, they find their way in whatever organization you find yourself in. So,
that's true.
I try to the general idea of the podcast is to help people find and pursue opportunities that they may not have known about before finding themselves in the military. And I've just kind of picking up on this trend that I'm noticing is that a lot of enlisted people find they're looking for the opportunities to kind of level them up and prepare themselves for a civilian career. Whereas the officers kind of they've got their degree. This is kind of their first career type thing rather than, it's still a stepping stone, but maybe in a different dynamic. Did you feel like you had a program or an opportunity that you were pursuing, or was kind of like the Ranger life was your pursuit at that time and your focus?
So are you saying like, was there like kind of a bigger goal for what I was like, what I was doing, specific to the military career?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like, so for people that I talked to Enlisted, they're using like tuition assistance and things to kind of prepare themselves for a career afterwards, because they maybe don't have the same
Gotcha.
credentials that somebody went to the academy did or something like that. So when you were in the Army, were you focusing on your Army career? Like, did you envision doing 20 years, or were you kind of trying to strategically plan for that transition early on?
Gotcha. No, that's a great question. No, I wasn't, there wasn't anything else aside from maybe like studying for the GMAT
Okay.
to potentially go back to grad school, which I didn't actually end up doing. When I got out, I didn't go to grad school yet. I went and worked, but there wasn't anything I was doing, I guess that's one of the fortunate things, having come from West Point, and then serving, those two things, having a college degree and serving, I think those prepared me pretty well. At least I felt that way when I was serving. I was like, hey, look, I'm in a good spot. I'm focused on my military career right now. Like, I want to do some really cool stuff, be a part of some really great teams. And then when I'm out, I'll be okay to be able to pursue, a career at some, decent caliber. So there wasn't anything I was doing on the side or preparing for, in the military for when I got out.
Okay. So how did you, I mean, how the second half of your career while you're in Ranger Battalion and you're trying to make a decision, like, did you know you were only going to do 5 years and transition out? Or how did you, like, what was that moment like when you decided, okay, I'm not going to make the Army a career and I'm going to transition out to pursue something else?
Yeah, I did not know that I was going to do 5 years and then get out. I think, the big part that made me decide to get out really was really like my what I perceived to be what my next couple of jobs would be. Right. So like I had a great time. Like, I got, deployment with 3rd ID, a couple of deployments to the Ranger Battalion. I was in the Ranger Battalion. I was having a blast working with the best people in the world, working on awesome, systems, getting to do cool stuff and blow things up with, aircraft and all kinds of awesome stuff, like working with the best equipment and you name it. It was like a dream job. But then, for officers, you can only do like 3 years max at the battalion. And then you have to go back to conventional. And then you do basically whatever billet you're up for. Like for me, I would have to go back to captain's career course, then go take command of a conventional artillery unit. And then I could drop my packet to then come back to Ranger Battalion and be like a battalion FSO type person. And so like going back conventional to Fort Seale, Oklahoma, which is, Lawton, Oklahoma, not a cool place in the world, in my opinion. Yeah. Sorry if anybody's from there, but, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to go give another year of my life to Lawton, Oklahoma. Not cool. Yeah. Then I'm gonna have to go conventional, and who knows where they're going to send me. I could be anywhere. I could be at Korea. I could come back to Lawton. Like, I have no control over that. So like, I was looking at that. I was like, the lack of control over like where I would be, it was just like not acceptable. I was like, no, I've already done, a couple of deployments. I love what I'm doing. If I'm going to have to go over here, then I'm going to, pull the ripcord and I'm getting out. And so that's what kind of decided. If I could have stayed in Ranger Battalion, and not had to go to captain's career course, then I would have stayed much longer for sure.
Yeah. That's a interesting thing that I didn't know before talking to so many officers about their kind of path, is that like the fun part of an officer's career is pretty short.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can kind of like stretch it out pretty decently as an enlisted. But yeah, I mean, your hand gets kind of forced, which maybe that's by design to kind of drop, more officers. You need more junior officers than you do senior officers, kind of thing. But that's kind of a bummer. And good to know for somebody considering like to go officer or enlisted, and trying to get like, continue doing the fun stuff. Maybe officer is not the best route for that.
Yeah. I mean, I personally agree. I mean, there are different opinions all over the place, but I mean, as soon as you, after captain as an officer, like, I mean, you're looking at, you have company command is what I've heard is awesome. I actually didn't do it because I got out before that, but then after the company command, you're in the S shop, you're doing something. It's a desk job. You're not getting to do the cool stuff anymore. So that just wasn't exciting to me. I wasn't going to do a desk job in the Army when I could go do something else.
Yeah, for sure. So when you made that decision to get out, did you feel like you had accomplished everything you wanted in the military? Like, did you leave anything behind, like, that you didn't get to do that you're kind of bummed about? Or what was your general feeling about leaving the Army?
Yeah, I think I was pretty content with everything. I got to do a bunch of stuff. I got to do a lot. I think there's always going to be probably regrets for, anytime you leave anything, you wish maybe, I guess my only thing looking back, I wish I had in my like when I was like the first couple years, like I don't think I gave it everything I had. I wish I kind of like leaned into it a little bit more. I was also, you're 23 years old and you're like trying to balance like, your own personal life, you're in the military, going to do cool stuff. And, trying to balance those things is really challenging. And like, now where I'm at now, looking back, like, man, like, yes, I remember going to the field sucked, but like, it also was freaking awesome. Like that was some cool shit to do. Like, and I wish I kind of just had really enjoyed the moments a little bit more instead of always wishing like I was not there. I would be at work a lot. I'm like, why am I here? This is like, I should have been like, learning more about weapon systems or just doing what I was there to do, because it really is a once in a lifetime opportunity and it goes by fast. And I just kind of wish maybe I had leaned in a little bit harder on it. Not to say I didn't, but I still think I could have probably done a little more.
Yeah. I can totally resonate with that. I mean, I think there's for whatever, like there's a culture of kind of complaining in the military, like everybody kind of just complains together, which is like, it's like funny at the time. But then when you look back on kind of like the attitude you had, you're like I could have had a way better attitude. And it was actually way more fun than like I thought it was in the moment.
Yeah.
And I think, that's just comes down to like everybody like really just practicing presence and enjoying like what we're doing right here and now kind of thing. So,
man, that's exactly right.
I think it's safe to say we could probably all resonate with that feeling. So totally get it.
Yeah.
Did you have your eyes set on something when you said like, all right, I'm done with the Army, I'm going to go pursue this? Like you knew what you wanted to do, or did you get out pretty blind saying I'll figure it out afterwards?
I got out pretty blind. One thing I did say was like, I'm just going to go travel for a year. And so what I did was, I put all my stuff in storage or sold most of it. And just, rented a Jeep and I went out west and just started hitting all the national parks and spent about 3 or 4 months camping, and just traveling around with 2 buddies and, linking up with other buddies along the way and just doing pretty much all the national parks all along the West Coast and up into Canada. And that's what I want to do. I want to do that for a year. Really, I was kind of like, I had budgeted that and I was like, oh, I'll figure out what I want to do for work. And that'll just kind of happen. Yeah. So right now I'm going to travel, and I was going to go international, but I ended up getting, while I did that, I was actually still in touch. I had just made a connection with like the military recruiting firms. Like, I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but like Bradley Morris, Lucas Group, Alliance, there's like these firms that like specifically focus on transitioning military individuals as they transition out of the military. They place them into civilian jobs and try to help them find jobs. And I'd heard of them. And so I just like kind of gave them my information, say, hey, look, like I'm going to be traveling for a year. Like I'm not looking for a job, but if anything comes up that's really interesting that you think I would like based on my profile, like just, send me a note and I'm always down to take a look.
Cool.
And so like about 4 or 5 months into me traveling, an actual opportunity came across that was like really exciting. It was to go work for a private equity firm in St. Louis. And so I ended up taking that job and that was my next step.
Gotcha. So you cut your year travel short?
Yeah. So I actually, I was in Calgary. I just done Banff in Canada, and then I was in Calgary to visit a buddy. And I got an interview, like the first interview, I didn't have like a suit with me, and I was traveling with just camping gear. So I went to like a Brooks Brothers and bought a suit in Calgary, had it tailored in like one day, and then
Nice.
flew out from Seattle to the interview in St. Louis.
That's awesome. I want to just
Yeah.
go back to something briefly, because you said you budgeted for a year of travel. And
Yeah.
this is something that I'm a big advocate for, is like using those 4 years in the military to be financially prudent. Because like if you have money saved up and you budgeted for a year off, like that's significant. And to have that kind of financial stability to basically take your time with the transition and like kind of not have a burden of like a bunch of different loans that are hanging over your head. Um, like what gave you that, idea, or like what gave you that kind of that prudence and wisdom to not go buy the Mustang, or like buy a bunch of stuff you didn't need,
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like if there was something I picked up that I can't think of anything like specifically like a course that I took that taught me that, which, would have been helpful for a lot of people. But I think I've just always kind of been like a little, I've always been good at saving, and I did a bunch of deployments, which was a lot of good money, tax-free money while you're there.
Yeah.
And so like all that money basically went to savings. And so, I had a roommate, so I wasn't paying a bunch of rent. I didn't have a car when I was deployed, so I wasn't making payments. I was single. So I had a lot of good, a lot of fortunate things going, not fortunate, but like just based on circumstances, like everyone's not going to have those same, those same leeways. Some people have families and they're supporting it back at home, and they're just not able to do that. So like, I was just lucky enough to be single, deploying a lot, and then just kind of having I didn't have a bunch of things I wanted to buy, so I just had it saved up, which did allow me on the backside to do some nice travel. To say nothing of the fact that I also had, I think I had about 60 or 70 days of terminal leave.
Awesome.
So like, I was getting paid for two and a half months of that travel. While I was doing it. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I did. I had 60 days of terminal leave and did the whole Space A thing for like 60 days. So.
Oh yeah. Space A is money.
Awesome time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you took this job at this private equity firm. How long did you ride that wave for?
So I was there for 3 years, and it was awesome. I had a great time. I mean, so it was a fantastic team. There was it was a private equity firm. There's probably about 30 people in the firm, and at the time, and of those, there's 4 of them were military. So it's a pretty good contingent at a private equity firm specifically to have that many military people, and that's really why I was fortunate to get in, is because they had some military people there, and they were willing to take a chance on me to come into the firm, and one of the guys in particular, like, just kind of put his arm around me and just was and still is like one of my mentors, and just took care of me and showed me the ropes. So it was awesome, man. I got to learn a ton in that job. I was specifically focused on like sourcing investments for the firm, so going out and find businesses for sale that the firm would then buy. And so I got to see, different businesses, business models, talk to founders, really get to learn all that there is about the civilian, business world, really.
Which is crazy. I mean, so you got picked for this job basically based on going to the academy, doing some army time. Like, did you know anything? Like, did you have any idea how to do this job?
No, I didn't even know what PE was.
Yeah. I mean, I figure like most people wouldn't coming out of the military.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It was honestly like the guy who was looking for the job. It was such a serendipitous like situation. Like to tell you the whole story. So I was using Bradley Morris, which is one of the recruiting firms. They were the ones that sent me the job opportunity. Well, unbeknownst to me, the private equity firm that was looking for the job was in the process of acquiring Bradley Morris. So private equity firm is buying the recruiting firm. As part of due diligence, the PE firm is like, hey, we're actually looking to fill a spot on our team. Like, recruit us a military person. Let's see how good you guys can source, employees. And so, like, I was just that person who came into the pipeline.
Super cool. I imagine, I mean, did you always have, because I know you're in business for yourself right now, and I want to get to that. And is this kind of like what planted the seed for you going the entrepreneurship route, or was that an already existing seed for you?
I think it definitely helped it grow. I think it's always been planted. My dad was an entrepreneur growing up.
Okay.
He's run a real small air purification business my whole life,
Mm.
And it's a great little family business that he started himself and ran it. He's been running it, still does, for 25, 30 years, and just seeing that, like him being able to be around all the time, call his own shots, obviously work, but like he was his own boss. And so I always thought that was like super cool. And, then fast forward to working in private equity, you get to see all these founders who have built these really nice companies, family businesses. They built them over 15, 20 years. And now, they're 50, 60 years old and they want to sell the business and they're getting 30, 40, 100, $200 million for their businesses. And like, you just get to see that whole like process of them, raising this business, which is like their baby. And they're very proud of it. And it was just cool to kind of see that aspect of it. And so I think those combined, I was like, man, like these guys are, again, these guys are like the tip of the spear. These guys are out there that are putting it all on the line, willing to burn this, burn the plane into the ground. But they're risking it all and they succeeded and they built these awesome companies. And something that a lot of people, it's scary. A lot of people don't do it. And so that's another reason I was like, man, well, I want to try that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Right on. Okay. So did you leave the firm in order to go pursue your own business, or like how did you segue from working there to starting your own business?
So the segue was business school. Okay. And this is, I was trying to, one of the things with private equity, at least at the time, and what I perceived is that if you wanted to stay in private equity and you wanted to, raise up through the ranks and potentially make partner, like one thing you pretty much need is like an MBA. Like if you look at all the partners of most private equity firms, they all have an MBA, from somewhere, a top school. So there was that piece. It was like, okay, well, if I want to stay in this job, like I need an MBA to be able to go get an MBA, come back, and then raise through the ranks. I say, okay, well, I need an MBA. And like the other piece was like, well, I don't even know if I want to stay in private equity and keep doing this. Like I love the people I'm working with and I love, what I'm doing, but like, do I really see myself doing this for the rest of my life? Like, I don't even know what else is out there. So like, I'd love an opportunity to kind of take a knee and just like see what else is out there.
Yeah.
And so business school made a ton of sense for that. It's like, well, I can go to business school, I can maintain optionality and come back to private equity if I want to, but I can also use those 2 years in business school to kind of take a look around and see what's out there, meet other people from different industries, look at other industries, do an internship within a different industry, and just kind of really like make sure I know what I want to do and then go after that. And then while I was in business school is when I met my co-founder and we started down the path of building our own business. And that's where we're at now.
Nice. Okay. So because first I want to ask, because you did 5 years in the Army, you did not have your GI Bill, right?
That's right. Yeah. Oh, I had 40% of it.
40%.
So I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did just shy of 6 years. So I got like I think you have to do like 8 months past your commitment to get 40%. So I had 40% of the GI Bill.
Okay.
Which is like nothing for a private grad school.
I was going to ask, did that cause you to hesitate at all of making that investment into an MBA?
Totally, man. I mean, it's a big decision, right? Like, I mean, going to grad school in general is a big decision. Like, even if you have the full, 100% GI Bill, and you're going to a state school where it would be 100% paid for, then like you still got to weigh like the opportunity cost. Like that's still 2 years of lost income. That's still 2 years of, not raising through the ranks of whatever business or job you're in. So like there's a lot of opportunity cost. So like for me, I think because I got into Wharton and just based on it being a decent school, that like, and everyone I talked to was like, look, it'll yes, it's going to be expensive, but like it will work out and it's going to be okay. Like I promise. Like, and everyone said that. And I was like, I don't know. Like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to see. No, but No, it's
Yeah.
all good. No, I don't regret it at all. It was a very difficult decision. No, I was like, man, I could just go work and make a bunch of money in that 2 years, and
Yeah.
like, why do I need this?
Yeah.
But I'm glad I did. It was I would have done it 100 times over.
Awesome. Awesome. Right on. So you're in Wharton getting your MBA, you meet your co-founder, and you guys come up with this business plan. So tell us a little bit about your business, what you guys do, and yeah, what is it?
Yeah, yeah, man. So I met my partner, Chase Hobby. He's a Naval Academy grad. He's '07 guy. He was a fighter pilot for 10 years in the Navy, flying the Growler version of the F-18.
Cool.
And so we met basically first week of grad school. It's like one of these things where, first week you have like a mixer, and like all the vets like immediately gravitate towards each other because you have the same haircut, you're wearing the same clothes, you all kind of like look the same, and you're like trying to find who you blend in with. So, so we connected right off the bat, and we ended up having a bunch of same classes together. We were both doing the entrepreneurial path, and so through some of those classes, it was part of the assignment is like, hey, come up with a business, build your business model, boom, 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 like do all these things for the class and present it. And so, we were partners right off the bat, and we were already talking through a bunch of different business ideas and trying to come up with, a feasible plan. And we iterated a million times. Like, the first business we came up with was like, it was basically like a technical skills school. So it was like, hey, like bringing people back to like, like teaching people how to like weld and like how to clean a deer and like things that like a lot of skills that we perceive to have been lost based on just like advancement of like technology, and just like people have gotten away from like the traditional skills. So like that was our first business idea, to build like basically a master class, which they actually ended up building. But that was kind of like day one. But then as we progressed and like found things like common grounds that we really shared, which was, we both are very much into like health and wellness, clean eating, making sure we're healthy, how to optimize like our performance physically, cognitively, those types of spiritually. And we're very passionate about that. And so we were talking about different ideas and ways we could build a business in that space. And one day we were just talking about how we were dealing with like stress and sleep, in terms of, supplements, and CBD had come up. Neither one of us had used it. We had both come from the military, so we hadn't been able to use CBD or the cannabis at all. And so, we had heard a bunch about it. Everyone's heard about CBD, and we were just kind of like skeptical of it, but we wanted to learn more. And so we just kind of just to try it out, we tried a bunch of CBD products and honestly found a ton of benefits from it. Like, on the stress PTSD side, and then the sleep side, it was just like, it was phenomenal how effective it was for us. And it kind of like opened our eyes. We're like, hey, here's this compound that's highly stigmatized. But it's also very effective, and it seems kind of unapproachable to a lot of people who a lot of people that we are friends with, and a lot of the people that are coming from the same space as us. Yeah. And so we were kind of like, man, but that's the same demographic that can very much, use this compound and find a ton of benefit from it. Veterans in general struggle with stress, sleep, and pain at orders of magnitude higher than the civilian population. And here's this very effective compound that's clean, it's natural, that helps tremendously, and it can get people off of prescription drugs, opioids, and tons of other bad habits. So, we wanted to build a business in that space to help other veterans like us, and we thought we could do a better job than what we saw in the marketplace. You see a lot of like, on the branding side for CBD companies, it's very hippy dippy, Grateful Dead, Cheech and Chong, weed leaf all over everything, and like I get it, like that's the weed culture, but like here, we want to destigmatize it, and we think we can do a better job and show that this is for people like, you don't have to be a Cheech and Chong or Grateful Dead fan to be able to experience the benefits of CBD. So we wanted to provide a clean, straightforward, transparent branding that shows like, hey, this stuff is built the right way with the right ingredients, and here's the exact formulas you need for you. That's the other thing that we wanted to help solve, is that when we were shopping for CBD, it's like I wanted help with stress, and Chase wanted help with sleep. I didn't care. I wasn't buying CBD to buy CBD. I wanted help for a solution.
Yeah.
And when you go in the marketplace to go buy CBD, it's like, here's 1,000 SKUs, here's different milligrams, here's different formats, here's different blends, or different extraction methods. Like, I don't care about any of that stuff. I just want the right formula for me to help with stress. And so we built very specific formulas. We have one built specifically for stress. We have one built specifically for sleep, and we have one specifically built for pain. And it's got all the ingredients and the right dosages based on all the science and all the research out there that we found, and our science team has found, to deliver the most effective results.
Cool. Okay. So 3 different main products that are all taken orally, I assume?
So the stress and the sleep are both droppers. There's one right here, like these little tincture drops. You put a drop under your tongue and you let it sit for 2-3 minutes, and then we have a topical for pain.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a roll-on cream.
I've never used CBD, and can you use it in the military now? Is it a product military members can use right now?
So CBD is still banned by the DoD.
Okay.
So technically, you cannot use CBD on active duty,
Okay.
but it's not. But CBD is not what's like testing positive for a drug test. Like, you test positive on a drug test for THC, but like,
Gotcha.
all of our products have 0 THC. So
Gotcha.
technically you could, or technically you can't, but it's
No. Yeah.
Yeah. We would tell active duty service members, like, do not take, because even if you could take it and pass a drug test, like, the last thing we want is it to be in your kit bag, and like your squad leader or someone sees it and you get an Article 15 over it, which is, we're not trying to, we don't want anyone to be in that situation.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've never used it. It's something that I've increasingly been thinking about trying out. And I know, like, just the other day, my aunt was talking about how she uses it for her arthritis on her hands. And she like swears by it now. She was super skeptical, and like, she was laughing about it. Man. So, I based on other firsthand stories, I've become less skeptical of it. So it's something that I'm looking forward to trying out, and I'll definitely hit up.
Yeah, man, I'll have to get your address, man. I'll send you some product, man, for sure.
All right, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was we're the same way, man. I was the same freaking way. I was like, what is this? It's snake oil. It's I don't know what this is. A bunch of BS. But it's not. I mean, there's clinical studies that support it. There's an FDA approved drug called Epidiolex. It's a CBD drug that's approved by the FDA in production, that's being used. I mean, this stuff really works. And so, yeah, man, I'm a big believer in it, and it's helping a ton of people. I mean, just on, we get customer reviews from people. We got one the other day. It's just, hey, this guy sent a note. He said, "Hey, I'm an old Vietnam vet. I haven't slept well most of my adult life, and I just started using your sleep product, and I'm getting more sleep than I've ever gotten in my entire life. You've completely changed my life. Like, thank you so much." I'm like, whoa, like, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, these are, it's real. And the way we think about it is, like, at the very bottom of the pillar, if you can be stress-free, get good sleep, and be without pain, like, that sets the conditions for being successful in everything. Yeah. So 100%. if you can affect those even 10%, you get 10% better sleep or 10% less stress, like, you are going to perform better, period. Yeah. So, and it's with natural ingredients. So it's, we're obviously big fans of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you take it daily? I mean, is it for sleep or stress? Do you take it daily, or is it kind of like on a need basis?
It can be on a need basis. Like, I don't personally take the sleep one every night. I don't have a ton of problems sleeping. My partner does, and he takes it pretty regularly. I take the daytime stress one every day. I think of it as like a daily supplement. Like, you take a fish oil or you take a multivitamin every day, just to, like, make sure you have all the nutrients you need to perform well. And CBD, our formulas are, yes, they're CBD, but they also have other botanicals in it for like, targeted results. So, like, I take the day one every morning and just kind of get the day going, and just make sure it sets the playing field. So I'm not like, I'll take it before or after my coffee, and it kind of just helps. It reduces the jitters of the coffee and kind of, allows me to just stay focused in the game.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying that out. What year did you kind of break ground on this business?
So we've been operating it since December of this year.
Okay. Super young. That's awesome.
Yeah. We launched in July of last year, like while we were still in school, but we consider that like kind of like a soft launch because we didn't end up graduating until December, and so we weren't focused. We were still in school a little bit, and so like we officially went full time into the business December of this year.
Gotcha.
Or last year.
Right on. Well, congratulations on that. That's huge.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. It's awesome. It's fun.
Yeah. After the, going through school, coming up with different business ideas, because I feel like, I know I have ideas that rattle around in my head. I talk to people that have ideas rattle around their head. How do you go from idea to just like send it? I'm going to start investing money, massive amounts of time, and I'm going to like commit to this, because that's a big, scary move,
Yeah, man, that is the age old question. I honestly, man, it just keeps taking small bites to get there. Like, it's idea that's like step zero, right? Like, you have an idea. Okay, then like, what is the next part of that puzzle? Like, maybe it's build what's called an MVP, a minimal viable product. Yeah. And it's like, what is like the absolute minimum I could build? Like, no shit, test this out. Like, if it's a product, can I build a prototype and then go ask a bunch of friends if they like it? If it's a software service, can I get someone to build me a wireframe of that software service and then, again, go test it and see if people like it? But like no shit, like put on a list, like the no crap, like next 5 steps, very simple steps, and just start doing one after the other. Like it can be as simple, like for us, it was like, okay, like we want to build CBD formulas. All right, well, we can't build those. We need experts. Like, let's go find someone who's built CBD formulas and we can build the ones that we want. And so, okay, all right, Chase, you call 10 people, I'll call 10 people and see if we can find someone. And sure enough, we eventually find someone after like 100 calls who's willing to work with us. Okay, that's step one. Now it's like, okay, dial in the formulas. And, you start going through very small steps. Like it's easy to get paralysis by analysis. It's like, well, okay, well then what am I going to do once I have my product and I have to start selling it? How am I going to accept payments and how am I going to build the website? Like, well, dude, you'll get there. That'll come. You'll face that battle eventually. But just start doing those little things to keep like if you consistently take steps every single day to get there, like you'll be so amazed. Like all of a sudden you'll look back like, shit, I got a product, I got a business, I got a website. Like it's all here now.
Yeah, it's super cool. Was there a point in time where it's like, that first chunk of, investment capital is required, where at that point, had you taken enough steps where you're like, you didn't even hesitate? You guys were like, all right, here's the money, let's go. Or was that another point of resistance for you guys?
Yeah. No, there's like the details too that everyone like leaves off, right? It's like, oh, just keep doing it. And you're like, no, well, there's like investment that has to happen. Like, right. No, like totally true. But like, so like what we did, we bootstrapped the business ourselves. So like, we, neither Chase or I, came from money, and we didn't have like, our families weren't putting in any money for us. I'm, swimming in grad school debt. And like, so like, these are very real questions. Like, how do we, when it first came push to shove, like, all right, we got to put in 10K to build the products.
Yeah.
Like, we don't even know if this shit's going to sell yet.
Yeah.
But what we did do was we try to mitigate everything else, right? We try to be as scrappy as possible. So like, I built a website myself. Like we found a partner that we sacrificed on gross margins for low order quantities. So like instead of going to a big manufacturer and having to buy 10,000 units at really low cost, like $5 a bottle, we said, well, we'll sacrifice. We'll go buy 100 bottles and pay $35 a bottle just so we can get in the game at the lowest cost possible. So like we had to be really scrappy. So like that's what we did. We made those decisions. And like the branding, like it was us making the logos in Photoshop. Like, we could have gone and hired a branding agency, which we eventually ended up doing, but not until we had like the MVP built and like we're able to really feel good about like, all right, this is, this thing has some legs. Like now I'm okay with putting, a bunch of money behind it. Whether it's my own money, my own savings, or just credit card debt or whatever it is, but you can make it happen. I mean, if you want it bad enough, you're gonna figure out how to get it done.
Yeah. I've mentioned a couple times, like thinking about getting an MBA to my wife, and she's like, what's what's an MBA? Like everybody's got an MBA, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, where you go matters and things like that. But do you feel like what you learned in your MBA program kind of paved the path to make like those next steps more obvious to you?
I don't think it made it more obvious. I think
Okay.
you know the steps. I think you feel more confident about it.
Yeah.
And to say nothing of the network, I mean, like there's like I owe a ton to like the mentors and like the encouragement and you know, just the you know, again the network to kind of like, you got this, you can do this. Like, Evan, here's the next step. Like, this is what you should be thinking about. And like, if you don't have that on your side, like, gosh, it's way more difficult. But it's not more difficult because it's actually more difficult. It's more difficult because it's just you had to build up the courage and the confidence to do it.
Yeah.
And so like coming from business school and like being around all these people who are starting businesses and like learning from people who already started businesses and exited them, like you just start to build the confidence and the courage to like, all right, I got this, I can do this.
Yeah.
And that's what you get. That's what I got. You know, there wasn't like, hey, here's the golden business model, like, or here's the golden, like, you know, step-by-step play to make this work. Like, you can get that Googling it in 10 seconds. You know what I mean? There's tons of free resources to get that, but then like, you gotta do something with it. And like, that's what I think the network and the people help a ton, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, man. How'd you guys land on the name you have?
So it's called Verb Labs. And so like, it's spelled VRB, but we came up with a name. You know, we were putting names all on the dry erase board and looking at them and trying to figure out like what we liked. And we really liked Verb because, you know, the part of speech is to be in action, to move, to run, to live, to love, to devote. And so like the way we see our business is like, we want to keep people, minds and bodies in action, doing what they love. So like, if we can keep people feeling good, doing good out in the world, you know, keep them in action, doing those things, then that's what we're fired up to do. So that's where the name Verb comes from. And when we went to go buy the domain, like it turns out when you, if you drop a vowel from any name, then you can usually find the domain name for sale. So VRB is where.
Gotcha. Clever. Yeah. When I saw it, I didn't know if it was VR. Like I was reading it as VRB Labs, but Verb Labs, that makes way more sense. So
yeah, cool. It's 50-50. Everyone, it's like, you know, people call it VRB Labs or Verb Labs.
Yeah.
You know, to us, we don't care. It's all kind of part of the fun.
It's all the same brand.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, it's super cool. And I'm excited for you guys. And like, yeah, I like I said, I've been skeptical like pretty much ever since like people started selling these products. But I've increasingly been hearing from, you know, from people and their positive experiences with it. So I think, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, try it, see how it goes. And I'm excited to give it a go. And rather than continuing to be skeptical, you know? So
yeah. No, I mean, hey, trust me, I get it, man. I do, really do. I was right there until I tried it, but you know, I also think of it as like the whole nutraceutical space. I mean, you know, vitamin C and I mean, all these vitamins and stuff, you know, it's depending on who you ask, like they're effective or they're not effective. Yeah. And then when you look at some of the clinical studies for like some of those vitamins, it's like not even nearly as damning as it is for CBD. Like there are no crap like double-blind placebo clinical studies done on CBD that like help. They worked. And if you looked at like vitamin C, like, well, you might not find a lot on vitamin C, or you might not find a lot on like a lot of these other vitamins that people take every day and feel absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
CBD, you're going to feel something, and there's studies that show it works.
Cool. That's awesome, man. Well, I'm excited for you guys and excited for your growth, and, you know, super young. I didn't know you were as young as you were in the business. So that's super awesome.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. It's every day is a roller coaster, and I'm going to do what I love to do though. It's, you know, working in the space that I love. I'm helping people feel better, and so I'm happy, man, and excited about the future.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, let me wrap up with some of these closing questions, and I don't want to take up your whole afternoon. So let's get to the, based on your experiences in the military, would you recommend somebody else join the military?
100%. Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We already answered that one. What do you think separates those who've had a smooth transition versus a difficult transition?
Support system. I think that, people who, people come from broken families, don't have people to support them, to lean on. Maybe all their friends are still in the military and they don't have friends on the outside because they didn't go to, maybe they didn't go to college and had like college friends who are different from their military friends. So I think it's support system 100%. If you get out, I think everyone experiences, I could be wrong with this. I think everyone experiences a little bit of a challenge getting out. I did for sure. I didn't think I was going to. I was like, oh man, I'm getting out. Like, let's go. Like, this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I'm free. And then as soon as you get out, it's like, who am I? Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I have no purpose. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. There's no mission. It's like, oh, when I'm trying to make money, like, what do I do? So like, I think everyone has a difficult time getting out. And I think that the real deciding factor is on how bad it is just your support system. So like, friends and family, just leaning on those people as best you can, or seeking out groups. If you don't have those people, seek out groups to be a part of, get into sports teams, get into some sort of volunteer work with people. So you're around people and you can kind of, and try to find the vets too. Cause they obviously have shared experiences that can help you a lot. And so I think that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. I like what Brendan said in the last episode was that the transition isn't a moment in time, but a period of time. And so like you've been out 5-6 years now.
Yep.
Do you feel like you're still in that period of time, or where do you feel like you are in that transition phase?
I think I'm in a much better position now, having to have a business that I'm passionate about, and I have a mission behind it. Like we do a lot of charity work and like giving back, and we're able to help people with our products in general. So like that, being able to help people like really does a lot for me. But until then, I was in private equity. I was like, well, I'm making a bunch of money, but like, is that the goal? Like, that's not very rewarding.
Yeah.
So the real reward for me has been helping people. And now that I'm in that position, I don't feel like I'm in like a transition anymore.
Awesome. What's the most influential book you've read? Influential on your life?
Man, I'm pretty big on this book called Essentialism by Greg McCowan. It looks like this. Essentialism.
Huh. Yeah. The cover is very familiar, but I've definitely not read it. Cool.
Check it out, man. It's an easy read.
Added to my list. Awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Cool. Based on, do you have a favorite military or veteran discount that you try to take advantage of and that others should be taking advantage of?
Well, we have a veteran discount on our site. So we work with GovX. So all veterans, first responders get 15% off everything all the time. But I think GovX is a pretty cool site. I think you can get a lot of discounts there for veterans. I don't know many other. Well, I know there's veteran discounts everywhere. I think you can, if you ask. I don't ask a lot, but but yeah, I think the GovX is probably the one I know of.
Right on. We're gonna promote yours, obviously, and so everybody, whether it be military or veteran, go definitely take advantage of that discount at VRB Labs. VRBLabs.com.
Yep, VRBLabs.com. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, man. I'm excited to see you guys grow, and I'll definitely be ordering some of your products now that I'm waiting on the final release papers, and I'll be out and nobody can say anything about it. So
yeah,
super excited to try it out, man.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me on and for doing what you're doing and, getting the word out there from other people, whether what I'm saying is helpful or, someone else after me probably will, but it's just good I'm glad you're doing this. It's awesome. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, man. Evan, where can people find more about you if they want to connect with you?
You can shoot me an email at evan@vrblabs.com, EVAN@vrblabs.com, or LinkedIn, Evan Seale, or that's pretty much it. Yeah. Awesome. Hit me up. I'm happy. If anybody listens to this and wants to chat about anything, starting a business, getting out, I'm more than happy to chat with anyone. I want to pay for it. A lot of people have helped me, so happy to help anyone else.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much.
Definitely, man. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into the episode. I really hope you enjoyed Evan's story today. If you guys have been, similar to me, skeptical on what CBD oils and CBD products actually can do for you, I think now's the time. If you guys want to jump into it with me, I'm going to be trying out some of these products. And so definitely don't miss the opportunity to check out vrblabs.com. And if you are able to use that military or veteran discount, definitely give it a shot. But as we discussed during the episode, technically it is not permitted for active duty military members. So just make sure you're smart about that and don't do anything stupid. But either way, I'm excited to try those products, and I hope you guys are too. If you guys want to reach out to Evan to maybe ask him questions about the business or his time in the military or anything like that, his information is below in the description, similar to his website link and all other links. So check out the description, see if there's anything in there for you. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks so much. Peace.